Hi everyone, welcome. So this is the Limud International session specifically on participant experience. What we're going to focus on today is participant experience from our perspective as volunteers. So how we and our teams as a whole can improve participant experience at Limud events, and also how we need to work with the other teams within our country to improve that experience. So I think I met some of you at the session this morning, but I don't think I've introduced myself properly. So I'm Rebecca. I work for Limud International Steering Group at the moment, but my previous experience is chairing a UK conference in 2009, and I've had lots of different roles on the steering group that prepares UK conference. So my main area, which is presumably why they've asked me to do this session, is in participant care. So I think, so just put your hands up if participant care as a role is a specific area on your team, on your home teams. I don't think so. So just tell us a little bit about what participant care is from your perspective.
From Cape Town, South Africa's perspective, it's that from the time if somebody else is arranging logistics for them to come to Cape Town, from the time that they arrive at the airport in Cape Town, I arrange shuttles to fetch them at the airport. We normally host them if they're going to Johannesburg. They probably come a day or two before, and we'll host them at everybody. I will get hold of mainly people who are coming to Limud, and they will host these people for a night or 2 nights. We will probably take them, because it's normally about 10 or 12 people, we'll take them to a kosher restaurant, and everybody will meet everybody else, and they'll meet the committee of Limud. The next day, we will offer them, either if they're there for an extra day, a tour of the peninsula of Cape Town, or on the way to Limud, they will get a tour of Limud. We normally hold about an hour away, okay? And from the time and we also give them packs when they arrive, welcome packs or whatever you think. And from the time they're actually at conference, my thing is just to see that they're happy. If they need anything, they'll come to me and see what they need, or if they're not happy. And then after Limud, they normally come back to Cape Town for another night before they go, or sometimes they fly straight to. So then I'll arrange the hosting of them again, and basically okay. That's it.
Perfect, thank you. Anyone else got a participant care team at their event? Or what kind of things do you do?
So we do some of the same. We don't really have a residential model, but we do Philadelphia. But we do arrange for some hotel rooms for some out-of-town people. So we take care of that. We do some of the same that Maxine said, but in addition to that, we arrange for the signage in the building, wherever we are. And then a new role that I took on last year for participant care was making sure that everything that went out in print was Limud kosher. That, not kosher per se, but that all the verbiage made sense, that it was within the Limud values and guidelines and things like that, and made any changes necessary. Because we did have a lot of people that were new working on the team, and we wanted to indoctrinate them. We had kind of veered off course the year before and wanted to get back on track.
Okay. And
just to add something, but I did want to say before they arrive, it's quite a hectic thing, because I'm working with schedules on an Excel spreadsheet, and then the time I get it from the logistics team, and I'm working at what time they arrive, how many people can be fetched at 8 o'clock, how many at 9 o'clock, and I'm on the phone to them all the time, and we email them before to say, hi, we're part of the team, and your hosts are going to be Mrs. Smith, and you're going to be staying at them, and my contact number if you need any help. And then we just tell them, would you like to go on a tour? So we have a communication with them before they arrive. We email them from participant care.
Yeah, and just to add, because South Africa works on the system that in order to bring international presenters, Johannesburg, Durban and South Africa need to have their Limuds within a week of each other. So there's a lot of coordination going between the 3 different cities as well.
so it's really interesting, because what I'm hearing so far is that participant care can pretty much cover everything to do with running an event. So when I did participant care here for Limud Fest and for Limud Conference UK, a lot of what we looked after, we looked after the help desk. That was our And I don't know if you've been up to the help desk yet, but you'll see how busy it is. So we essentially were troubleshooting any concern that you could possibly think of, and there were some bizarre ones at the conference help desk. We looked after, we had a lot of input on the kind of young children and family aspects of things. We looked after making sure people knew where the sort of nearest medical care was available, that kind of thing. So it's a really broad-ranging thing, and some people are saying it's more about, you know, hosting people pre-conference. Some people are talking about logistics and transport, which for us would be covered by a different team. But I think already what we're getting a feel for is how all the different teams are going to input on participant experience. And even if your particular event doesn't have its own participant care team, it's still essential that every member of that volunteering group is thinking about it. So I'm going to ask you a question. Put your hand up if your only experience of Limud has been as a volunteer. Okay, so that's as opposed to just being a general participant who's not helped out. So put your hand up if you've been a participant, and if you were a participant first, if you came as a straightforward participant. Okay. And so the rest of you, I guess, so you came as a participant first and then volunteered. So it's quite only a few of you who've come only as volunteer alone. So if I ask that question, interestingly, if I ask that question in a lot of steering groups in the UK, put your hand up if you've only been a volunteer. A lot more people will, probably 60-70% of people will put their hand up and say, yeah, we haven't actually come to a Limud event as just a normal participant, which is incredible, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And I think that makes it difficult to understand the participant experience if you haven't come with that. Because when you're on the volunteer team, you're a bit behind the scenes, you know people, you know how to get things done, you can sort things out. But if you come as a participant, you have a very different experience. So I think it's really important, and it's good that most of you have had that experience. So what I'm going to do now, so my first international Limud steering group that I went to was in Johannesburg a few years ago, and I walked in and I didn't know anybody, but I saw post-its and I saw flip chart paper and I saw pens, and I felt very at home as a Limud meeting. So that's what we're going to do now to make you all feel at home. I'm going to make you write on post-its. So if I could split you in half, like straight down the middle here, and if this side of the room, I want you to have a brainstorm in your group about things that you've experienced at a Limud event. It could be any Limud event, it could be your own one, it could be this one, that have made it a positive experience for you as a participant, okay, rather than particular as a volunteer, although that will come into it. So that you guys are going to do the positive experience. At this side of the room, I want you to think about your experience at a Limud event and what has made it more of a negative experience, okay, so things that you would like to change or improve. So we'll do that just for about 10 minutes and then come back together and as a group, okay? So you might want to, I guess, leave the chairs out. Who's a brand new volunteer then? So you guys, so half of you joined the programming, half of you joined logistics. What about, some of you had experience specifically dealing with participants, didn't you? So put your hands up again. Okay. You guys to form a group and think about things at the actual event. So marketing and fundraising together maybe. If you guys could focus on registration for your one, and what else did someone say? Program for children. So children and families. Okay, children and families. You just focus on your own area. Okay.
Help! I need somebody help, not just anybody help. You know I need someone help. When I was younger, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way. But now these days are gone.
So if we let's start with Team Positive. Tell us some of the main points from your group.
Family friendly, I don't know which of these would be the high points because we each gave different ones, so. Okay, let's skip the, great icebreaker, caring staff, helpful and friendly crowd, global organization, attention to small details, clear communications with participants, appreciative participants, special, thank you. Targeted programming for first timers, session or however many sessions for first timers. Having a web-based app for scheduling and know your internet capabilities, hopefully good ones. Intimate family atmosphere, despite the size, vegetarian friendly, special needs friendly, suitable living conditions, well-trained volunteers on the help desk, great signage, tech help for sessions for presenters. Team effort. Variety of choice of sessions, so balanced, I would say balanced program. Interfaith and multi-denominational acceptance or programming. Choices for everything. Flexible meal times, diversity, lack of titles for presenters. Informal atmosphere, choice of session format, in other words, panels, arts, films, whatever the case may be. Lots of gain knowledge and friends so that the participants feel engaged in Limud as a group, not just a conference. And ensuring program books have all the necessary details.
Team negative.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't think you're ready for this, but we're doing it anyway. We have not knowing people at Limud, aka feeling lonely. Similar content sessions conflicting in schedule, so having a similar session or multiple similar sessions at the same time, as well as meal times and sessions conflicting, aka you're going to eat or you're going to learn, so you not both. Bad signage, getting lost, so the signage doesn't help you. Lack of publicity about program changes so that you have wandered around, far away, and it just wasn't really publicized anywhere that this was going to happen, and it's not happening. So there's that. And a disappointment is the feeling that comes with that disappointment. Lack of protocol for responding to sessions, so politeness protocol, in terms of just like having that being explained before you enter into Limud, and not just in the handbook. Seating etiquette lacking. So we're talking about how, especially in big lecture halls and where there's theater type seating, that people who come in first may sit in the aisle, and maybe they need to get out quick for something, but like that it should be preferential and explained that try to sit in the middle so that people don't have to awkwardly pass by you and then interrupt over and over and over. So that would be nice to have that explained. Volunteers who don't know about their space that they're assigned to. So you get somewhere and you're late. The person that you hope would know where to go also doesn't know and just kind of showed up there and has a thing on. So it's really not very useful in the end. Not being clear about what's happening during Shabbat, I guess, especially because it's a more intimate group, so a lot of things happen through announcements rather than scheduling, so meals and such. Anyway. Supplies lacking, no spoons or rubbish bins.
Or hot water.
Or hot water. Or, yeah, I guess.
Or cups.
So just at least maybe those were there, but then they weren't renewed really, and at any point. Handouts are lacking in sessions. That's frustrating. And then I put no introduction to your accommodation. So I feel like I just sort of got a key and I was told to go to Arden, and I realized Arden was all the way far away. And then there was no bus or anything, or there was no until Sunday there was really nothing. And then even when the buses started, there was no I had to go search for the times, and I couldn't tell if it was going that way or the other way. So that has been personally frustrating for me. That was not really part of my introduction to where I'm going to live, because it is pretty far away. So, and I think that could be true of anything. We have home hospitality in New Orleans. We need to talk about like what that should be like and who to complain to, or whatever. So there you go.
Perfect. I'll take this list for next year. So you mentioned.
There you go.
Do you want this one too?
It's fine.
Well.
So
So we thought about this as our experience as participants. So now what we need to do really is think about how we as team members can bring everything over onto this side of the room and not onto that side of the room, and how we prevent team negative complaints from happening.
I'm stressed out already.
So I just need to get an idea of what people's experience is though. So just put your hand up if your main experience is with programming your event. Okay. So you guys are going to be a team in a second, and you're going to concentrate on logistics actually. So kind of resources, facilities, logistics around planning your event. Okay. And put your hands up if your experience is with logistics. Yeah. So you guys are going to focus on programming. Do people have sort of specific kind of catering, food experience? Is that a team in some of your
Well, mine was like food logistics kind of.
food logistics?
Food and bar.
Okay. So that's fine. You can stick with your
Logistics.
Many of us just don't have any experience. So honestly, who's a brand new volunteer then? Okay, perfect. So you guys, half of you join the programming, half of you join logistics. What about some of you had experience specifically dealing with participants, didn't you? So put your hands up again. Okay. I want you guys to form a group and think about things at the actual event. So some of the things that people were coming up with about hot water and cups and food and that kind of thing. Okay. What else is people's experience?
Marketing.
Okay, marketing's a good.
Registration.
Yeah, registration. Okay.
Outreach.
What do you mean by outreach?
Like, in terms of getting participants to come, different demographics, kind of like, I guess that's part of marketing as well, but it's also like forming relationships with people
Okay.
about,
How about fundraising?
I do
fundraising. So marketing and fundraising together, maybe. If you guys could focus on registration for your one, and what else did someone say?
Program for children.
Children. So children and families. Okay, children and families. You just focus on your own area. Okay. Anyone else with children and families experience? Yeah, great. I mean, you can go to whichever one you want to. Does anyone not have a group that they think they're going to be in? Yeah, would be logistics. Yeah. Out of interest, does anyone have a specific person on the team looking after volunteers?
Some years we do.
You do sometimes. Okay.
We have someone, but I don't know really what is they do.
Yeah, it's a difficult role, I think. Okay, so what I want you to do is just split into your groups and just essentially come up on your post-its, just write down as many things as you can that you think will be relevant to the new area that I've given you. So it might not be something that you've got much experience in. So some of the things that you think might help with participant experience, okay? And it might be difficult if you don't know much about that particular area, but that's the whole point of this, is that we have to think about how we work together as a team. So if you could do that for about sort of 5-7 minutes, and then I'll want you, as your team expert, to come and have input into what other people have said about your area. So if you could split into groups now, there's loads of post-its here.
Who else was going to work on programming?
When you want to do it.
Just split into small groups.
Who's doing logistics? Logistics programming? Working on programming. I'm working on anything because I've got no experience.
Who else is doing registration?
Okay, Robin, you group together. We're going to work on programming.
How are you?
Okay, so guys. So I think we've had a lot of opportunity to talk to each other, to talk to people from different teams, hear about what other people's ideas are, and that really is the purpose of today, this session. The purpose is not to come away necessarily with a list of things. Right, we're going to have to do this next year, because that would be a whole day long session. But just to get some ideas, and I think that's certainly been happening from the small groups that I've been listening to. So, and I wanted to take you out of your comfort zones a little bit to think about what it's like for the other teams, because often we get so involved, or I know this from my experience, we get so involved in our area that it can be hard to think about the participant experience from the perspective of other people on the team. And what this really emphasises is the huge importance of communicating as part of in your teams. And having chaired a big event, I can tell you that the only role of the chair really is to make sure that the rest of the teams are talking to each other, in my experience. So let's start with, shall we start with the programming team? So the people who were talking about programming but didn't necessarily know very much, as much about that area. Just tell us what some of your thoughts were to start with, and then I'm going to get the guys who do know about programming to chip in and add to that list.
That'll be me.
Okay, well,
Programming?
So we want the people who discuss programming but don't know much about it to start with.
Let's first.
That was us.
Oh, fine. So
Yeah, we were programming.
we have
There were more than
let's start with programming one. And
We mainly tried to deal with some of the issues that had come up on the complaints list.
Yeah.
So we prioritised those, such as schedule similar tracks or session topics at different times. We thought, brilliant idea, I can't remember who suggested it, was to use hashtags so that you can tag.
One second, guys, if you're talking, we've got mics and the rumbling sounds
sorry.
terrible,
Yeah.
so is it okay if one person speaks? Thank you. Cheers.
So if something's, for example, Israel, politics and religion, it's got 3 different tags, try not to schedule subjects that have got any or all of those similar tags in the same time slot. Schedule international speakers during mainstream times, like in the central hours of the day, not 8 a.m. or 11 p.m. There are some regions in the world where your participants won't be there for them, so make sure that they're accessible to the bulk of the people in the central times of the day, and try not to, if you can, not to schedule too many international speakers at the same time, so there's more chance people can get to see them. But also to make sure you've got a diversity of different subjects in each time slot. And then there was the issue about meal times. So we would want to emulate what they've done here, which is long meal times, and it's staggered. They don't start and finish at the same time as the sessions start and finish. Schedule sessions, make sure that sessions are accommodated according to the facilities they might require, whether it's special facilities or technical things in certain rooms, and communicate clearly with presenters as to ascertain what their requirements are, and also let them know what our requirements are, and make sure that some of them in fact don't understand things like Shabbat restrictions, and they'll bring musical instruments or electronic equipment during Shabbat sessions, so that they need to be either scheduled in on non-Shabbat days, or that they don't, that they understand that. And then there was just some, general guidelines about when to start structuring, when to start inviting, and all that sort of thing.
Perfect. And the second programming team, do you have any additions?
Yeah, for example, like the issue of program change announcement, that you check about the location and where's the best point to do these kinds of announcements, and then to bring them in time so that people really can profit from them. Then another thing is to indicate the type of activity that the session is about. Like, is it a panel? Is it a workshop? Is it a music play, whatever? So people know exactly more or less what they are getting into, so they don't have to get it from the description or something. Then another thing, try to anticipate like room popularity of a session. If you know that some speaker is very well renowned, or it has been in recent years, this topic is really gonna get people, then maybe you can give this session a bigger room so that there's not gonna be too many frustrated people. Then maybe the issue of repetition of sessions, maybe if you can allow something that happens in the beginning of the conference and not everybody could attend it because not everybody was there yet. Maybe you can repeat this session at a later stage. This kind of thing, if you can also get this in your program planning. And of course, maybe keep a highlight for the end of the conference so that people stay and don't like leave the conference and the last sessions are basically empty because nobody's there.
Yeah.
And the rest I think was already mentioned. Maybe also difference in languages. Maybe if your Linux can afford it or actually has participants, then maybe you can try to vary also in the languages.
Yeah, perfect.
So
Comment from there.
whether or not it's realistic, just really quickly, like a text alert for what's changed would be like the most direct way, you know, to let people know rather than just paper on the wall somewhere. Whether it's realistic or not, it would be cool.
Stay with the program, as Clive said. Stay with the problem. You don't have solution now.
Right.
Stay with the
Sorry,
problem.
I'm sorry.
So what
No
about
one uses text.
Just
I was
kidding.
wrong.
so what about the people who
Patience.
who know a lot about programming? So your expertise is programming. Did they do well? Can you think of anything else that we haven't covered? Who are those guys who experienced programmers?
We actually had one on our team.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Not really.
Anything else to add from anyone else? I think it's a good list. Okay, so if we move on to logistics. Who's doing logistics?
Yeah, that was us. The first one was to make sure that volunteers are organised so that every aspect is covered and there's always volunteers available if people want to ask questions, rather than having to go to the help desk. Signage from the beginning, the signage was great after Shabbat, but over Shabbat not all the signage was up and that caused a problem. And also, particularly for this Limud, some multi-language signage. Transportation, and that's to and from the event for internationals as well as internal transportation solutions and information about that. The environment for learning, one of our group finds the campus situation actually impedes their learning. So thinking about offering different forms of environment. We've got food, but I think there's a group that's actually concentrating on that, but that was really just what we came up with is enough, covering all dietary needs, and it's multi-centred.
What does multi-centred?
But it's available in lots of different places.
Yes.
The communication, that it should be clear and constant and accessible to all, because not everybody is technologically savvy, so not everybody is going to be accessing apps and the program online, etc. And the environmental impact, looking at sustainability, possibly recycling options, etc. Producing a good handbook, providing a good handbook, and the international organisation, again, flights, accommodation. Those were the areas that we came up with.
Perfect. Anyone want to add anything?
Yeah, it's something I just thought of. Maybe it's not super practical, but in looking through the book, there's a map of the building, but I don't know what it looks like from the outside. So maybe also take a picture of maybe what the main entrance look like, so that if I'm looking around and I'm looking straight at it, but there's no sign necessarily, I would know where to go.
Okay, can I just say something to add to logistics? Just also that if you have an international participant coming with his or her family, and they come in like an offering, just that somebody sees that they're welcomed and there's a bit of food for the children or whatever, because they often have gone 1 or 2 hours, gone to a hotel on their own choice to stay for a few days before, and that there's something to welcome them for the kids, because I know I've done it for 1 of the hours, and they were so appreciative that there was food for the children. The children were hungry as they arrived straight from the airport.
Thank you. Anything else for logistics? So let's move on to the guys who are dealing with young Limud families, children.
I did have one quick thing.
Sure.
The option to maybe recycle if you do get a physical program, that there is a program for recycling it through Limmud rather than on your own,
Yeah.
might be really cool.
You're not going to keep it forever.
Well, I mean, yes, some people are very
Not going on your
sentimental, but
bookshelf.
maybe if you encourage it as the action, maybe it's more important.
Take Care's home.
So
It's a
we have the
catalog of
following.
presenters.
Give out, as an organizer, give out as much information beforehand as you can for the family so that they can prepare. Request special requests from them concerning their children so that you can prepare for all the special needs. Prepare enough facilities for children like high chairs, cots, and stuff like that. Think about children as far as signs are concerned so that some of them at least, which are connected to their program, don't contain only letters but maybe some pictures so that special age group has a certain picture according to which they know that this is where they belong. Prepare enough activities for kids, arts and crafts, but also programs that include the whole family, parents as well. Prepare health information and perhaps also somebody who is able to take care of health problems connected to children. Have different time slots for children's meals so that they can eat, for example, earlier before Shabbat starts. Children are still hungry, but it's not yet the time for regular Shabbat dinner. Have children-friendly volunteers. Have parallel babysitting slots like they have babysitting in the time when there are sessions. There is a very nice service here in Limmud which is called Night Hearing. I don't know if you know about it in case you don't have children. In the evening, if you are a parent and you have children, you can leave your children prepared in bed, like washed and in pajamas, and you can leave the child in your room. All the families are centered in one location, and then they have volunteers that sit outside of the rooms and they listen to what's happening in the rooms. And in case there is some rumor, in case there is some noise, either you can leave them with some advice about what they can do, or if this doesn't help, they'll call you and you have to come like as soon as possible. But still, it's possible for you to leave for program and you leave your children not unattended. Okay. That's about it.
Perfect. Thank you. Just in the interest of time, let's move on to registration, which I think was the final theme.
So we divide the registration up into two parts. There's the actual booking process itself, and then when you register on the day, you collect all your material. So in terms of the booking process, there's 3 ways that we thought you can book another book on the phone, which is very good because it's you get to talk to someone and ask them questions. There's a booking online. Not everyone here has an online facility, but that's really good because it allows people to make spontaneous decisions to go to Limmud, and they don't have to wait till the next. If it's at night, they don't have to wait until the next day when the office will be open. They can book on the spot. We thought it's a good idea to be able to volunteer, to commit to volunteering in the booking process. So if you're doing it on the website, for example, you tick a box that says I would like to volunteer. Different pricing options depending if you're an early bird booker, depending what type of accommodation, etc. Okay, now with the registration desk itself, one thing I found out is, you probably all know this, is that it keeps spinning around. And we found in Australia that if you have, instead of having one hole, if you have 2 holes, then it actually keeps it a lot more stable. It's very simple, but it's also very effective. Also the lines are done alphabetically, but it seemed the other day that there were far more people in one line than another. So maybe some thought needs to go into, like, you put it into an Excel spreadsheet and you work out where you can divide it. So it's divided by 4, divided by 5, whatever, and it's all done pretty equally. Another thing is that it's quite inefficient where when you register, you have somebody explaining to you information that can be done to a group. So we thought maybe you can register where you get your specific information, but then you go across to a line where every 2 to 3 minutes somebody will go through to a whole group all the information that's not really personalised info. And finally, we thought having some sweets or having some drinks on the table might kind of, I guess, sweeten up the registration process as well.
One comment, because registration is what I do, is that certainly, and I'm sure South Africa is not the only Limud, we don't have an office. Therefore, it is entirely voluntary, and the more web-based, the better, because it becomes very time-consuming if you have to actually speak to everybody and take everybody through the process on the phone. So it happens with some people because particularly older people can't. But you can't make an assumption that there's an office and there's somebody manning a telephone.
So thank you. I think we'll sort of have to start to wrap up just in the interest of time, but I think it's been a really interesting session. For me, what I've learned is that although I came to you at the beginning and said my background is in participant care, actually it feels like all of the teams and all of the different roles have masses of input into what improves participant experience overall, so whatever team you're working in. And the other thing is that those teams need to communicate with each other to improve that experience. And you've probably seen that from thinking outside of your area a little bit. So for example, the programming team, if they want to plan some family sessions, they need to know from the people with experience with families and young Limud, what time do kids want to eat, what time do they want to go to bed, what time will the babysitting or similar services be. Equally, we thought it was a good idea that the meal times don't overlap exactly with the programming time. So to do that, the logistics team and the catering team are going to have to work closely with the programming team far in advance of the event to know how to arrange that, so that all this kind of thing can be communicated to participants in advance, which we also thought was an important area. So there's been lots of good ideas thrown out here as well, and I think that's good that we've got this recorded so that when we go through it afterwards, we'll have this as a resource for later on. Any final thoughts?
There's something I'm going to do, I'm going to share it. I'm going to take a picture of what we liked about Limud and we don't. And I think always to start with a goal in mind. So I'm going to pay closely attention to what we like so that when we can learn around that. And the other thought is separate maybe when Clive explained the experience to us, they said that everybody's volunteer. So if you come and say, oh, there's no chairs. Oh, thank you. We are all volunteers. Can you get some? I'm not feeling that. Which is sort of comfortable and great because I have people doing that stuff for me, but I think maybe it would be great if we are all more aware of that situation. So there are not cups, okay, where can I get some more cups? So, that, that's a thought.
A lovely thought, yeah. Any final thoughts? Great, thank you very much, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.
2.5 hours. It's like a bit of a logistics.
Yeah,
Look good.